This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry, Kim. All right now? Good to go? Looks like all the council members are present. Staff, welcome everybody. First item on the agenda is a guest, Winsburg Troop 20. Yes. No, he signed up as a guest.
Oh.
You're on the agenda.
Oh, yes, thank you. I will let Caitlin speak, but I'm happy to be here. I have lived in this lovely zip code my entire life, and this is the first time I've ever been to a town meeting. The last time I was in this building, it was the library. So, yeah.
That's been a long time. It's on your age now.
Well, I'm still younger than you are. But on behalf of our scouts, thanks for having us. And we are completing our Arrow of Light, so we'll be moving over to the Troop in March. And they have one specific requirement. They needed to attend a community meeting. And we purposefully chose one where we had some female representation. Thank you, ladies. No offense, guys. Just so they can see female leaders in different roles. But Caitlin, we have one specific question. Caitlin, if you could.
We don't bite.
You
Some of us don't eat.
Just relax.
Is there any problem facing our community that is solvable with a certain action?
So you're looking for specifically just an issue that maybe our community is facing right now that you could see some positive change from youth.
I'm sorry, other change from what?
So that you could, yeah, that maybe you could participate in for change for the.
Maybe help Cassandra. Yeah.
So I'm the chairperson of the Boonesboro Environmental Commission, and we have lots of great community activities that we host every year and lots of opportunities for volunteers of all ages to participate in. So I'm happy to follow up with you more about what our environmental commission goals are. For example, I'm talking tonight about a community garden that we have planned. There'll be certainly lots of ways to get involved there.
And that commission is in contact with the schools too, to try to do some projects.
And then our park board always has projects and all too. Park always needs cleaned up, a lot of things. Arbor Day.
Planting trees.
Trees, yeah.
I actually participated in a majority of those.
Yes, you do.
The park cleanup and.
Arbor Day, both girls and the boys have been both of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else?
National Night Out.
That's it. How about you, ma'am? You don't have anything? Don't be bashful. We're not going to. Where are you going? Anything else y'all want?
We're just excited to learn maybe some more about what you guys do in these meetings and what you accomplish as a group.
Good.
Again, thanks for having us.
You'll get an experience tonight because you get the audit report.
You got to leave.
Good, bad, or different. Yes, exactly.
That's first on the agenda, semi account staying for a meeting if they leave before the audit report.
That was a great question, though. Good job.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you. And this lady would be glad to put you to work.
Lots of women on the DEC also, so.
There you go.
We have lots of women on,
A lot of her.
Our board,
Our
DEC,
balance, the safety committees.
Our EDC commission.
DEC actually would be another great contact.
Yeah.
So our economic development with businesses, we have lots of women business owners.
And Ray, I think we have one signed up. You don't have to get up.
Gentleman here, isn't it?
Yeah. You want to come forward, state your name?
2 years an hour, do you want to wait until?
So he's presenting as part of the
he's-
garden.
Oh, he's part of you? Okay, okay.
He's trying to finish out,
You guys?
but
Yeah, that was what,
Okay, all right.
you didn't know where he was gonna fit. in, so. He'll stand by.
So I'll introduce the garden and then Will give his introduction about this project
Okay,
related to the garden.
sounds good. Okay, presentation, fiscal year 2024. Before we go any further, other citizens comment. I received a letter today from a young lady. She lives on Ford Avenue. It says, "Dear Mr. Mayor, I am a resident of Boonesborough and I noticed an issue with the storm drain at the corner of Center Street and Orchard Drive. It is higher than the road and causes problems when it rains, making a giant puddle. So kids walking to and from school risk getting wet when an uncaring driver drives by and splashes them, risking their school-issued equipment being wrecked by water. Getting the storm drain fixed will stop it from flooding. This solution will help the entirety of Boonesborough, as anyone walking will not have their day ruined by the storm drain because someone didn't go slow or go around the puddle. I also noticed Center Street is the most common walking route for school and they go right by the storm drain. I did some research and if we do a petition, get 100 signatures on it and set up a GoFundMe to raise the amount needed, we will be able to raise enough money to solve the problem in the community. In this way, all of Boonesborough will benefit from this being fixed. This will significantly aid students traveling to school. Thank you for reading. I hope that this will help you about one of your issues that affect their community. I've already talked to Greg. Greg's going to look at it and see if he can straighten it out. And also, thanks to Paul and our public safety with school safety, we will be putting more sidewalks on Center Street. We got a grant approved. So Center Street will be sidewalk for all the students to walk on, along with Ford Avenue and Orchard Drive too. We'll have sidewalks for school safety for the kids in town. We've already responded back to the young lady, so she'll be tickled hopefully tomorrow when she gets a letter in the mail, but you never know about our mail delivery, so it could take a little longer.
Eric, you and I could share our shirt.
I thought that was very nice. She did a very good job. By the way, her name is Amber Maynard. So she did a very good job. It's nice to see her young people get involved and come to the town with projects and problems and suggestions. I thought it was very becoming of getting a petition and starting a GoFundMe and to raise money. She pays attention to what's going on in life. Okay? Jason, it's all yours.
Now to the exciting part of tonight's entertainment. And off the record, audit suggestion for the reservoir, maybe consider a GoFundMe. $25 a pop. You might, get you there. So I know we're a little later than normal this year. Of course, we had a lot of changes with staff and advisory folks, but getting right to the point, all in all, the audit was good. It was clean. We lost some key members, but we had some good, quick learning members replace them. We all know this job, this is a commentary outside of the audit, is my observation. We all know that the job as town clerk and administrative assistant are challenging and unique, in that governmental accounting is unlike anything we ever come across in business or nonprofit world. And I think the folks that you have are good. I think they will learn quickly. And I think you have good resources. So congratulations on good choices. And you'll see at the end of this, I do have one recommendation which has already been taken into place. A lot of the challenges we faced this year was outside of your purview, outside of your control, with the disappearance, if you will, of your outside firm helping you out. That's what caused a lot of the challenges, I think. But with that said, I'd like to just turn in our book, if you will, right to page 1. Then I'll hit some financial highlights. I won't read this verbatim, but in essence, you'll see in the second paragraph, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental funds, business type activities, and each major fund of the town of Boonesborough as of June 30th, 2022, and the respective changes in financial position and where applicable cash flows thereof for the year then ended in accordance with the county principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So actually, I did read it verbatim. But it's a clean opinion. It's a good opinion, what we expect from the town. So it's the best you can get. So well done in that. Some of the highlights financially, I would invite, this will all be open to the public. It's up to public purview and review. And really, the narrative that I will go here high level is listed on pages 4 through 9, along with 3 or 4 paragraphs that the town manager wrote up for us for economic factors. But a high level, the total assets experienced an increase of 2.4 million during the fiscal year ended June 30, 2022. Governmental activity assets increased 2.1 million, and that was due to a net increase of current assets of 2.4 million, generally all cash. And if you'd like to look at the numbers, I would invite you to turn to page 10. Our business type activities, which are our water and sewer funds, their assets increased 356,000 as a result of net increase in current assets, cash, accounts receivable, prepaids, and had a increase of 537,000 in cash, an increase in other assets of 157,000, offset against the decrease in capital assets of 337,000, and that's net of depreciation expense. Our liabilities were really flat for the most part, with the exception of 2 items. Total liabilities, excluding long-term obligations, increased 2.5 million. The increase of 2.5 million, governmental activities liabilities increased an increase of 1.5 million due to an advanced ARPA funds classified to deferred revenue. And business type activities, total liabilities increased 998,000, roughly the $1 million, due to the unearned revenue, deferred revenue of 1 million from the county, from Washington County, their access funds for the reservoir project. Now, let me backtrack. Those funds were recorded originally in your revenue accounts. Generally accepted auditing standards, generally accepting accounting principles require those funds to be reclassed to unearned revenue. And had you had your assistants, they would have called that. They would have looked at that and said, well, these grants are basically I'll call them purpose grants. So you're awarded the money, you have money in hand, but you can't recognize the revenue for those dollars until you've expensed the costs, until you've incurred the cost. So, you use ARPA dollars, you got 1.5, now you have 3.6. So if you want to replace Well, you just got your second thing, so. So you have, as of today, you say you have 3.6 total. So you essentially have 3.6 in your deferred revenue. You want to do a project, and it costs you $500,000. Essentially, it's a book entry. You write your check, you pay for the expense, you debit your deferred revenue, you credit your revenue, and that's how it'll get reflected. That's also a tracking mechanism as well, so that you can monitor the costs and the revenue that you've got. So you make certain you're not spending more than you were awarded. So any questions on that? Because I know those were two big adjustments that impacted the monthly items from what you see monthly. Our total long-term debt obligations for all funds decreased $265,000 as a result of scheduled principal payments, and to the council's credit, you did choose to pay off at least one or two loans early. So that's good. I know you're trying to probably get the debt position improved in anticipation of probably incurring more debt as the CFP project's coming on. That would be my guess. Pure speculation. If you look at page 17, our statement of revenue expenses for changes in fund balance of governmental fund, our revenue decreased $30,000. The decrease is primarily attributable to decreases in parks and recreation fees and public safety fees or grants, offset by an increase of property taxes during the current year. And when compared to the prior year, our total expenses increased to $191,000. We did have some salary increases. We had some additional staff. We had increase in public safety costs and an increase in highways and streets in the governmental fund of $64,000 when compared to last year. We turn to page 17. You can see that total revenues increased by $36,000 for our water and sewer funds combined when compared to the prior year, and our expenses increased $61,000. A lot of the variance in those areas is charges, fees related. I think last year we did have a sizable administration fee from Keysville as part of the Weir Wall, so that was a higher issue. And then our expenses this year, again, we're looking at repairs. We did have repairs and maintenance. We did have some costs for our study and monitoring. Also vehicle expenses across the board. Biosolid removal was up over the current year, basically reflecting the general overall inflationary position the economy is in. The overall net position increased by $199,000. So overall, the town made roughly $200,000 during fiscal year 2022, which was an increase in governmental funds of $591,000 and a decrease or a loss in our business type activities of $392,000 compared to an increase of $590,000 governmental and decrease of $554,000 in business type during fiscal year 2021. So the overall financial position of the town improved last year. Our proprietary funds, our business funds are running about the same where they were last year, and our governmental position did improve overall. You see how I just said that? It really remains consistent. The water and sewer funds were again hurt during the year because of fewer new connections. I know we've got a lot of things in the hopper, and charges were basically flat. I mean, they were up a little bit, but not a whole lot. And I know there's a couple things rolling in that may impact that. I know continued evaluation of water and sewer fees is imperative to the successful operation of the town. And I noted that that has been a hot item over the last couple of months when I reviewed the minutes. The town is still doing a good job controlling expenses. monitoring expenditures during these trying times. And I know there were a lot of things happening that the town is doing a good job of monitoring. And would continue, or would encourage the town to continue their due diligence and maintain the efforts that they are. I know Paul's leadership has been a big thing, helping out. The staff, the accounting staff is, like I said, you have good staff. All in all, the financial statements, the audit was clean. Now, with that said, I do have to address the 3 findings that we had. So, if you turn to page 49, I'll go over those real quick, just highlight. I'll just do high level. Finding 2022-01. Chair weakness, internal control over financial reporting and non-compliance with laws and regulations, cash account for under collateralized at year end. So essentially, at the end of the year, you did not have enough insurance to cover your cash account. You had a lot more in ICS. You did have some insurance or other securities at Middletown Valley Bank. But there was a little bit of a shortfall that in September, October, according to Middletown Valley Bank, was addressed and corrected. So I know it remediated in the subsequent months since we had this. And again, last year, I think it was 400,000. This year, it's about 110. I rounded up. It's actually 109 and change. And it only approximates 2% of the impacted balances at Middletown Valley Bank, and it's less than 1% of the combined balances of all financial institutions. So from an overall standpoint, not material, but unfortunately, because it's non-compliance with the Maryland Annotated Code, I have to point it out. 2022-02, during our audit, we noted the closing process for the year to be incomplete or inaccurate. Essential that the town's closing process to be complete and accurate to facilitate accurate financial statements, material audit adjustments were necessary for balances to be properly reflected in the financial statements. So you can go through here, you can see some of the entries that were not made. And again, some of them are big dollars. Some of them are not outside of the realm of normalcy that I would expect. I know the town replied to each one individually, and I certainly appreciate that. And I have an understanding of what happened and where things occurred. The internal controls are working properly. So things were caught. There was a disconnect between when things were made until they were to where they were sent to. Again, I'm beating on your external accountant, but that is where the shortfall lied. Your staff did the process, they put it in for review, they were signed off, blah, blah, blah. And then when it was remitted to the external accountant to review, radio silence. So you have a finite amount of time to make those adjustments before I show up to say, hello, let's look at these. And they weren't able to do that. So we've got the town acknowledges the challenges as part of the closing process. The town has terminated the relationship, I believe that's correct, with the prior external accountant and has put the external accounting services out to bid, or will be putting them out to bid. So that was getting someone to help is paramount. And then we did note when finding 2022-03, during our audit, we noted subledgers that did not reconcile to the general ledger. We had the accounts payable subledger was not reconciled to the general ledger fiscal year and subledger for the general, and the general fund did not agree to the balance for trial balance general ledger. So what we had is we had 2 entries that were made subsequent to year end that were made, as I understand, to record additional expenses to account for available funds in a grant budget or a grant program. Okay. once we get to 11:59 or 11:59 on 6:30, generally accepted accounting principles accepted in the United States of America, as they say, says, no, you can't do that. Budget, they don't care about what's available in the budget, they want to know actual, they want to know invoices. So if we had, so there were two things that we had. I'm just going that way. Hopefully that's the truth. Anyway, so what we have is, we really have two issues with this one. We have two journal entries that were made to the accounts payable general ledger account that should not be made. Any entries made to accounts payable really needs to go through the accounts payable module. That is the compensating control or the system-wide control to make certain that what's in our general ledger matches what we have in our aging. And really, those should never be different. If there's a difference, we have a reconciling there. And then the other issue is adjusting accounting for expenses that on a budgetary basis when you follow GAAP. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but had our friends been available and responsive, they would have called us. So, I struggle with these material weaknesses because I know to an outsider, it appears it's easy to perceive that things are not good, but they are fine. Operationally, you're fine. We started this audit 5 years ago and you are light years ahead of where you were. I mean, it is a top-notch town, one of the best towns we do. It's just a comedy of errors that happened this year, just one thing after the other. Pardon me, if we bid, well, we are going to bid on the audit, and if we are lucky enough to win it again, I don't have any concerns that these issues will be repeated next year, particularly if you have a strong external accountant advising you. The town is good, you're financially stable, your staff is in place, your accounting policies are good, and I struggle with putting these in because of how they can be perceived, but unfortunately, I'm hamstrung by my rules and regulations that require these things to be said. But all in all, I thank you for this opportunity to present. And I thank you all for listening to this painful presentation. I went to school to learn how to do that, so that makes me the salesperson in the room. Anyway, yeah, well, that's true. That is true. Yes, we do. So, I would offer anyone on this body up here, or anyone who was present tonight, if you have any questions, reach out to the town. They can reach out, they know how to reach me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Yeah, thank you.
How many copies you need? I think they can find.
We usually get around 10 copies, yeah.
Okay. I'll put them. And then I'll get you the PDF. Hopefully by the end of next week, early next, end of this week, we can do next.
So is this the final draft then?
There won't be any changes to it.
Yes.
Unless you have any, unless this group has any changes, questions, any worry.
No.
We shared it too with all the mayors, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Next time you see my twin.
Community garden.
Mayor, you need to
Sorry.
motion to approve.
Oh, we need to motion to
Yeah,
approve
you do have a motion to accept Jason's report.
I'll make a motion to accept Jason's report.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Same. Motion carries.
All right, I'll have it submitted tomorrow by noon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Community garden.
All right.
It's a perfect act to follow, huh?
Yeah.
You can wait as long as.
Yeah.
Jason does a very good job.
Yes, he sounded very knowledgeable. So any technical knowledge in any subject area is always something to be commended.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing up for everybody. Did you guys get a printout yourselves?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, well, good evening all. Hopefully my voice holds out, but if I get a little crackly, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Another round of 4-year-old germs, just keeps flowing through the house.
You got your stand-in right there.
Yeah, he's my new right-hand man, Life Scout, so, you know, we'll definitely value that partnership. So, just a reminder, the, community garden is sponsored by the Boonesboro Environmental Commission, and I have a couple listed of the VEC members there who are also participating on what we're calling the, Community Garden Management Subcommittee, or Garden Management Team. It's not an official subcommittee of the VEC. As a reminder about some background about the community garden project, it's been the priority item on the DEC strategic plan for many years. It was our primary goal for 2022. It does count towards Maryland Sustainable Certified Accreditation certification credits, sorry. We've developed working relationships with Hagerstown City Engineer and Community Garden Manager, had presentations from other community garden managers. We polled town residents last summer about participation and interest in a community garden and got a fairly great response of 58% in just universal support of having a garden in town. We've engaged community partners to leverage resources. We've developed clear and distinct community goals for a community garden through this whole process in the past year. We've formed, most recently we formed the garden planning team in September of 2022. As you recall, the DEC had a special budget request this year of $12.5K. And we've completed 3 grants, 2 of which were declined. And the last one, the Nora Roberts Foundation, was accepted. So we got 25K for the fence installation from that grant, which is why I'm here tonight in front of you guys again. So happy to be here and happy to have received that funding to move forward with it. If you also recall, we had proposed 3, last time I spoke to the mayor and council, we had proposed 3 locations. We approved the one location that was near the Boy Scout building. And so that was reviewed and approved by the park board as well. That was way back in March. Time flies, right? A little bit about the garden management team. We meet once a month. We continue to evaluate and discuss funding opportunities, prioritize and evaluate planning and infrastructure needs. We're working towards designating an official garden manager, setting up opening dates for the garden and advertising membership, involving other community entities such as the FFA, high school, Boy Scouts, Lions Club, the Master Gardeners, etc. And ultimately, the garden management team will help with that final site design, construction coordination, and even manual labor for the initial preparation and long-term maintenance of the garden. So very crucial body moving forward for the garden. Ideal community garden characteristics, this is just very generally speaking, aiming for an area of 1/2 acre to 2 acres. So it allows you some room to expand over time, looking for flat elevation, brush and debris free, nearby parking lot and accessible walking paths, nearby restroom facilities, ensured safety, and nearby water sports. This is how we kind of came up with the location by the Boy Scout building in the first place and got that approved.
Cassandra, how big is that?
It's
location?
0.4, or we need to do the final plot determination based on the plan for Schaefer Drive. At maximum, it'll be 0.4. So that's still plenty of space, but we won't grow as much over time, and that could be okay, right? We have a very small community, and I think having a sizable garden to begin with is perfectly great. That'll allow us to keep a nice balance of membership. So the proposed site near the Boy Scout building, it does not interfere with sports fields. It is a highly visible location. There is a paid for water source. We'd have to connect to the main at the Boy Scout building. It's already cleared and leveled. It has good access with nearby parking lot and paved walking paths. And there will be those future plans for Schaefer Park Drive, which will include even closer proximity to parking lots, and even less walking distance once that's installed. So actually Schaefer Drive could be a benefit to the garden itself. Moving on to the map there, that's the general location that we're talking about. So it's kind of near the alleyway in the new park area, right? And here's the line of sight is the next picture. I don't know how well that's gonna turn out in the black and white copies that you have. But if you see the dotted lines, that's approximately where it sits if you're looking at it from like the walking path. And a lot of this community garden project is about catering to Boothboro community needs. It's a necessary part to maintain a thriving membership for long-term sustainability. 46 out of 79 respondents, that's the 58%, respondents replied that there is value in having a community garden. And so therefore we really want to cater to our residents and their characteristics. So the median age is currently approximately 40 years old. By 2030, a significant portion of the population will be 50 plus. The median income for householders 65 plus years currently is 25K. 6.5% of total population meets the census defined poverty threshold currently. And 31% of housing are rental units, and 40% of lots in town are under a quarter acre. So there are a lot of misconceptions that we heard in the ballots that we sent out. These are like actual comments that we have received back from people who had marked no, that they weren't interested in a community garden. So some misconceptions: everyone has enough property, financial resources, and physical ability to install and maintain their own gardens. And, you know, according to the town census statistics, this suggests that this is simply not true. Projects conflict with other town proposed community projects. Also not true. The garden will be funded primarily through grant funding, not town money. Elderly will not be able to participate. Our garden design most certainly includes accessibility features, and that is something that we're really trying to promote within our garden plans, is to have accessibility for all ages and abilities. And then lastly, the community garden will not provide benefits in areas with existing agriculture. Also not true. Just because there's a lot of agriculture around us doesn't mean that everybody participates in some kind of agricultural activity. So there are, you know, many benefits to gardening and having a small piece of the pie, if you will, instead of assuming that everyone is a farmer. Our proposed rollout, so starting right now this winter and through spring, we are looking at installing that required infrastructure, which I'll cover here in just a few more slides. And the initial construction, we also need to begin communicating with town residents about the construction. This spring, we're hoping to have a kind of a soft opening, an invite only, where maybe a handful of folks test out the initial site design and kind of the ground and just get a little bit of activity going so that we have some feedback going into the final plot design of the garden. And then spring through fall, where the garden planning team will finalize the required paperwork, you know, like the rules and rules of operation for the garden, and go through the process of hiring a garden manager. So, you know, we need to come up with the scope of work for what that position will look like. We need to figure out, like, you know, what are we going to pay that person? Is there going to be a stipend for that? All the logistics that go into having a manager. So all of those details and paperwork will be sorted out by the garden planning team, through spring, through the fall. By fall 2023, we hope to have the final site design and community group contributions. So anyone, any community groups that are interested in contributing, hoping to kind of get those projects wrapped up by fall. By winter, we'll begin to solicit the community for membership sign up. And then winter 2024, so after the new year, we'll do the final cleanup of the garden preparation if anything is needed after the construction and the initial year of testing it out and growing and whatever else activities have occurred. And so the final ultimate goal would be to have official public opening day of spring 2020. All right, so some of the infrastructure requirements that I'm talking about, at minimum, we need tall fencing, including the locked gate, water system, which includes pipe and pump, gravel path, mix of plots, soil testing and amended soil if needed, and storage shed, maintenance tools and equipment. So our plan for 2023, our implementation plan is, you'll notice that the dates on the right-hand side there are the proposed completion dates. So hoping to have the fencing installed by mid-April, hoping to have the water line extension in before the fence goes in, gravel path with industrial grade weed barrier, so there needs to be a gravel path extension from the existing path. Hoping to line that up with the water line extension, so that way we don't have to disturb the ground in places. So hoping to have that kind of done at the same time also. Soil testing, that's really pretty easy. Just order a kit and kind of mail away some soil. Have that done by the end of February. Shed installation in concrete footers, which is part of what Will's going to present about. Well, I'm sorry, that actually he's in the next slide. We need this is the tool shed. This is the tool shed. We'll need a tool shed installed on site, which will also require some concrete footers, I believe. Hoping to have that done by the end of April, and then any soil amendment by mid-April as well. So I put some ballpark costs in there. The execution of who's doing what. Some areas are still very much TBD, as you can see. So, and I'm open to any comments or suggestions there in particular.
Just one that I caught, Riley, and you can agree or disagree, but the building, the shed for your tools won't need footers. Unless it's like a humongous shed. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on how big it is.
Yeah, I mean, up to, what, maybe a 15 by 12, I mean, nothing like that would require footers, that I'm aware of, right? It would just be on
But doesn't that keep animals from getting underneath it?
it would be on either a stone or a concrete pad, but no footers.
Okay.
So that would be a cost you won't incur.
Okay.
Raleigh, they still require the rhubarb them down to the ground sheds?
I don't know. I'd have to look that up and let you know.
Okay.
That's
You may
Washington
have
County.
the rhubarb down because they said threat of wind.
Yeah.
I know when I built mine, I had to rhubarb it down.
Okay.
You would have to tie it down somehow, but I don't know if it's specific.
So is that something that the town maintenance staff could do, or is that something I have to contract the actual wording of a pad or rebar?
You probably talk, right.
Okay, all right, yeah. Just trying to, keep a mind on what I need to kind of contract that out and what could be covered in these.
Sometimes you have to deliver your shed to you. Or prefab, we'll put the stone down and
Oh, okay.
rebar it down. You may want to check with them. You're getting it for more.
I had called them, but every time I call them, their price goes up like $500. So,
I'll be here, we have to at least get competitive quotes, you know what I mean, because, so I know sometimes we like
Tried the guy down
We have to at least get quotes. to show them.
Roseville Road too. He has sheds down there too.
Okay.
He's pretty, he might
Well,
give you. a
because it's a
better
shop, the high school shop makes sense.
price. I don't know. You can check
You
with
can check
them.
with them.
Check with
I'm
the high
not,
school.
I'm not aware that they probably.
I thought they did for like particular functions.
And I knew I should know the name of this one, but, oh, Fisher Sheds, right there on Burham Boulevard. That's where I bought mine
Okay,
this past year. Their prices were much better than some of the others.
okay, we'll look into that, yeah. Thanks. Does anybody have any questions about the fence and the cost of that?
No, but again, you gotta get competitive quotes at least. so. Okay, what's the threshold for bids? Is it 20,000?
It's 20,000 for formal bids
Mhm.
and, I think it's 10,000 for quotes.
And then where you are. You know what I mean? Just because we have to follow the town procurement.
That's exactly why I'm asking. So the fencing is, 25, is around, in ballpark, 23.5K. The fencing alone, so it should go through procurement then, we can
Yeah.
send it out, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. So that'll be our next step. So timeline adjusted, based on procurement.
It's pretty easy. It shouldn't mess with the time.
No, it shouldn't.
Okay.
It shouldn't hold you up.
All right,
'Cause there's people out there looking to sell you fence.
all right. Okay, and then last but not least, we do have some community group contributions lined up. We have a greenhouse with, again, maybe it may just need a pad and not necessarily concrete footers. Just what we're learning here, where that's just a gravel foundation. We can discuss what the requirements are for the plan. From the Life Scouts here and for the Troop 20. And so that's hopefully gonna begin this spring, and Will will tell us more about that. I've reached out to Tractor Supply to see if we can get any ancillary items, anything from tools, any kind of supplies we might need. I did reach out to the Boy Scouts here in Greensboro, Troop 20, in general about community service hours as well, if we need help spreading gravel around, or just, basic garden tasks that we might need to accomplish. And then, last but not least, I think we're gonna target the fall MUC-FC tree grant to get some nice sized trees to plant around the perimeter of the garden. And no, we don't want to shade the garden, but some shorter trees that have some maturity on them, just to make it look a little more blended into the area. And that was actually a concern from the Noel Roberts Foundation as well, as, they didn't want the fencing to be so just in your face. So, we suggested that not only would we get the nice colored vinyl fence, but we would also plant some trees around the perimeter, just to kind of help it blend in a little bit.
Cassandra,
Yes.
are you planning on, as far as in your rules, your usage of this for people who are participating, any kind of written exclusion from any kind of commercial proceeds from this, i.e., can you grow something and go over and sell it to farmers?
That will still be for the garden planning team to consider. Mostly we're gonna follow some of the existing templates from like the Hagerstown Community Garden. Most of the community gardens that are in the area, they all have published their own versions of their rules of operation. And so we have some good guidance to go on. If for whatever reason we think that that's gonna be a major concern for our farmers market here in town, we could write in our own exception to that. But otherwise, we're gonna follow the model, I think, of other local community gardens and what they have in their rules and regulations.
I can see that issue coming up with either an existing person not using public garden and so.
Yeah. Personally, I'm not sure that it would be enough space for somebody to really
I don't think you
Yeah.
can-
compete with the vegetable, farmers market entities that show up throughout the summer. So I couldn't imagine they have much of a, stand a chance, frankly, but yeah, I mean, it's a valid concern.
So how tall are you thinking the fence is gonna be, just out of curiosity?
6 foot minimum.
Okay.
So we did 6 foot vinyl coated fencing as a kind of baseline quote and what we requested from the Nora Roberts Foundation for funding.
Minimum, but you might go higher or?
Right, who knows, someone might want to sell us a lot of fence really cheaply, so.
Taller than the tallest deer that we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Off the deer, good job.
Yeah. So, you know, I know 6 foot isn't the end all be all for deer. They could certainly navigate it if they wanted to. However, it would be sufficiently tall enough to deter the deer. And then, hey, if we get a good quote and someone wants to give us 8 foot vinyl coated fence, then they can be my guest. So.
Is there any preliminary, I'm just curious, are you gonna soil test, any preliminary tests out there, is it appear to be good soil? I've never seen it.
I looked it up on the, like that, the state soil map, well, actually, DNR, I was hoping to look up the area to see what the soil composition might be. It was marked as like urban composite, but it's been, my understanding is that that area's been settled for a while and it hasn't been disturbed in a while, so it's pretty chilled out. I have the soil kit, I already ordered it from the University of Delaware, and you just go out there and take a couple scoops from a couple different sample locations and you can kind of mix it all together and send it back to them. And basically the only concern there with the soil testing is really just make sure there's no heavy metals. There's no possible chance of any kind of lead contamination. And that's like your number one health, safety, public concern. Beyond that, you know, soil additives to make your vegetables grow better than they might naturally. So, okay. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank you, it's a
Appreciate
wonderful
it.
presentation.
Yes,
I'm sure. It's very thorough. You guys are always very thorough, which is
She's
very
good at
nice.
this.
Yeah.
Oh, give me an opportunity to present. But
Very nice when you finish.
I hope so, yeah. We've really been working hard to come up with a plan that's gonna be good for everybody, good for the town.
Did Brenda, I can't think of Brenda's last name, lives on the
Oh.
corner.
Yeah.
She lives on the corner of Della Lane, the very first house that you
Yeah.
make the turn. Is she gonna work with you all? If she,
Caller, is that her last name?
I might be,
She a master gardener?
yes. yes,
Yeah,
yes.
she was attending our garden planning meetings for a while, but I haven't seen her for the last 2 meetings. I'll keep reaching out to her. She may have gotten a little deterred just because, you know, winter and holidays.
She's very interested. She cornered me down at the library when we were down there for their dedication.
Okay, yeah.
Said she was very interested.
Well, good. Well, I hope she was definitely a valued member, and I hope she does return to the planning team. But without further ado, though, let me introduce Will here. You can give yourself an introduction. We're excited to already have a greenhouse project underway for the garden. That will was definitely something that wasn't quite in our budget, but obviously something we really would love to have right off the bat. That it plays into our whole community model of having some free resources, growing seeds, starting plants, and sharing those amongst community members, and really building that kind of community atmosphere for the garden. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, all right, let her rip. Oh, yeah.
Hello, I am William Lewis, and I'm a Life Scout from Boy Scout Troop 20 in Greensboro. I'd like to propose a 7x12 greenhouse for the new community garden as part of my Eagle project. I have been looking for a great project to help the community that also helps with conservation of resources, as I'm interested in environmental sciences. And I was hoping to get approval on my initial proposal tonight from the town council, so I can start getting approval from the troop and BSA Mason-Dixon Council on the project. Once I get approval, I will get the plans for the greenhouse and finalize the proposal and bring it back to the town environmental and town councils for final approval before any work would begin.
Problem?
Yes.
You don't have a problem with putting that down there? Don't have to get any permits or anything? You're good to go.
And it's already presented to the environmental commission and.
You are,
Time for it in your garden plot.
He has contacted me as the environmental chairperson and the garden planning team lead. And so we've discussed it at the garden planning team, but have not yet, we just kind of confirmed his commitment just in the past week or two. So we have not yet had our next EEC meeting to discuss.
council?
I'll make, do you want a motion?
Sure.
I'll make a motion that we can proceed with the 7x12 greenhouse.
We have a motion, a second, any other discussion?
I would say as long as it conforms with whatever the
What?
garden team, environmental commission,
In the park.
park
Park
board, yeah.
Just to make sure-
It's inside the
Yeah,
fence.
I mean, it shouldn't be an issue, but I just want to make sure we have partnered with all those commissions so that they're in agreement too, so.
Yeah.
Make it a pending the other.
I would just say the project's good and he just needs to work with,
Yeah.
I mean,
As long as he
environmental
works
commission,
along
the
with
park
those
board,
people.
for the specifics, I guess.
Yeah, greenhouse has been on our plans.
That's the town planner.
Day
I thought
one.
it was, I thought you talked about one other time when you were talking to us.
And there'll be room in the garden area for this.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Good luck to you.
And
Are these
there's how
ours?
youth in the community can benefit the rest of the community.
Because I can give one of these to Riley.
Yeah, just give it
It's got a lot of, what you might need, Riley.
And we'll email everything to you as well, so you have it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Riley, here's another section. Here's another section.
The voting is the most exciting part.
Wish you the best of luck.
Hey, very nicely done.
Yeah, very nice presentation.
Yeah, I really love the design that Will is proposing. I thought that was a great selection.
So before we close this down,
I think there's
I guess
some right
the
on the
reason,
desk. Like in the window.
well, actually, one of the reasons I
think there might be one here.
asked Cassandra to do this implementation plan and present is just that, I guess we want to take it to the next step now. There's going to be a lot of moving parts. The Environmental Commission is more than capable of getting this thing done. I guess, would you guys be willing to entertain a motion to allow them to proceed with procurement and purchasing per the town's policies, obviously, and just, I guess, allow us to move forward? One of the things that Greg and I want to work with the Environmental Commission on is the location of the garden. Well, we already know the location, but the exact location of the garden, the shape of the garden to ensure that it's not going to interfere with Schaefer Park Drive, the extension. And, we'll facilitate all that stuff, but, I guess we don't want to keep coming back and forth.
Exactly.
Correct.
So,
So I'll make a motion that the community garden implementation plan move forward with all of the town's procurement policies in place.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same. Motion carries. Good luck to you.
Well, thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time doing all that.
Yeah, the one at Wilkes Park there by the water treatment plant. Yeah, it's a nice little garden.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you. You don't have to leave.
We might have the people here. It's cool for them to stay to see the Scout.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Take care.
Thank you.
Jesus. I know you feel bad.
Apparently they didn't want your police department.
You got a report for us?
Home graduates on Friday, we're going to 5:30, ceremony starts at 6. for the graduation of the second year at ECC. And I'll be out of town from February the 9th to the 17th. I don't think it's when I'm going, I'm gonna have something to do. So you have to call the office and leave me a message, and when I get home, I'll take care of it.
Hope you get a big one.
On Argentina for a whole bunch of little.
Oh,
Oh, wow, how fun.
You're not going out west?
I will probably go to Canada later.
Wow. Be careful.
These doves, high volume dove shoot, they say we shoot 1,000 pounds of that.
Wow.
That's what they claim, we'll say, 4 days, 3 days of hunting, 1 day of fishing. A buddy of mine bought a fundraiser thing, and asked if I wanted to go my quarter of it. 3 years ago, back before COVID.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, all this thing, so, but anyway.
You get to bring them home? What you shoot, you get to bring them home?
I don't know what they do, I imagine they go down there.
I don't think they'll ever bring you back on the airplane.
But that box nice out, got down to the 90. And I don't know yet, if possible, Sunday afternoon, we're gonna do like a little luncheon thing like I did for the other guys that graduate. Yeah, but community center, if it's not being used on Sunday,
It might be.
so we won't be doing Sunday, that's what they get back. So, but there's no rush on that, we'll do. Just everybody at the meeting and say hi, and everything went well, I think you gonna be good also.
I think so too, yeah.
And again, his graduation is Friday night, we'll open at 5:30, ceremony starts at 6.
Okay.
Who's the FTO? Is it gonna be West of the FTO?
I'm West and myself, yeah. Yeah, I did a FTO program just so West doesn't have to do it all himself. Yeah, I did that back, I guess, around November last year, 2 weeks long. Anyway, him and I'll take care of that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions of Chief?
Feel better.
Yeah.
It's only over 3 weeks.
Hope you feel better.
I get to feel better, get the coffee again.
Yeah,
It's
it's a problem.
Yeah, keep coming back, can't get rid of it.
It's,
I've had mine for like a good 3.5 weeks now.
Yeah, I'm in the 3rd week right now.
You don't know how to dress. One day it's nice and warm.
This Saturday is supposed to be really cold.
You know, and I'm going to a place that's May.
Oh.
Yeah, change. Anyway. You'll be sticking around, yeah.
Okay. Take care, Chief.
Yep.
Hope you feel better.
Yeah, but again, I mean, if something important, you can call the office, Wes will be around with anything, you can see myself.
Amy back yet? She's still sick or she?
No, she's in the same boat I am, she is back, that's your back.
Take care, Kevin.
BMUC proposal to amend the Utilities Commission Charter, Resolution 2020-06.
So we talked a little bit about this a few meetings ago. We have 4 members on the Utilities Commission. We're really struggling to recruit new members. And for that reason and others too, one of them being that the Utilities Commission, and I should say that start with the Utilities Commission did recommend to Mayor and Council that this amendment be passed. But the other reason is that, we feel that out-of-town customers should have representation on the Utilities Commission as well. And we also wanted, a good mix of residential and commercial. We're hoping that this increases interest and increases membership on the Utilities Commission. We really do need, utilities are so important to the town. We really do need, more participation and so does the council, the mayor council. You guys really do need a full commission making recommendations and giving you advice. So that's the purpose for this amendment. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's good. We want to encourage some participation we do want to bring in some out-of-town people, but at the same time, the safeguards built in there, and Colin did a good job on this, so that the out-of-town customers aren't overrepresented, I'll say. So I think it's a good thing, okay?
Yeah, oh yeah, I agree. I mean, we talked about this and we brought this conversation a few months back, and these are the finals of what was resolved from all those meetings. And it does give a good cross of members that we can bring onto the board. Hopefully we can get some interest, that's the thing.
What we do have is that gentleman that has his water and sewer license that has applied, but he's not been allowed to participate.
Right, and this
Because
is.
he got a tank.
About 100 yards.
Yeah, about 100 yards or less.
That's what I'm
Well, let's just annex him into the town.
This might be an easier method. Annexing doesn't go well.
Since this is a resolution, we can introduce it and adopt it all at the same time. So it can be introduced tonight and adopted tonight. That's up to the council.
Well, you've introduced it,
Yes.
so I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2020-06.
I'll second it.
No,
It's 01.
2023-01.
I was gonna say, isn't that the number supposed to change?
I was reading from the.
I know,
That's
but up
the old-
here is,
that's the-
yeah,
It's
so.
now 2023.
I didn't realize that this is the first resolution.
Yes.
Okay, so what's it gonna be?
It's 01. 2023-01.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. We have any other discussion?
The only things we have to capitalize mayor, wants hours for mayor and council. In the first highlighted section, the second to the last. The mayor is small, the council is large, and
Oh, I see that. I
Yeah.
didn't notice that.
it's okay. Just
Did
when you type up the official one.
Colin, is there anything you want to add?
No, not particularly. I mean, I think that draft, other than the miss on the mayor being capitalized, but no, I think it's a good idea because there are people that are not being represented. They're not having a chance to come to the table and give their input. And then also expanding this to be able, if we can find interest in somebody doing this consulting role. So we have people that might not want to be a voting member, they might live completely out and not even be a customer, but they have a tie to this community by some way, shape, or form that could come and contribute their information. I mean, like Brian Phillips with Phillips & Son, right? The guy's a huge wealth of knowledge as far as the water source, and he's helped this town out a lot. So if you could find somebody like him that was interested, he would just add an extra level of knowledge and expertise to the BMUC. So like it's been noted, BMUC numbers are pretty low. Like there's sometimes when we have a meeting, we're even debating whether or not there's a quorum, and it's like, all right, what are we doing here, fellas? So, but yes, I feel like the safeguards put into it will prevent commercial and out-of-town customers from taking over. It's just, times are changing.
Yes, sir, they are.
There you go.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained, the motion carries. Question?
On that topic, Aaron, I'm sorry, how do we want to handle contacting Lauren? I mean, he's already applied. Do we need to ask him to apply again? I mean, what you guys?
Because we've reached out to him since we started talking about this, and he said he was still interested in it,
Do you
so.
know him well enough to call him?
Sure. I mean, I worked with him in Frederick County for a couple of years, so,
Okay.
and he works down in Brunswick now. He retired from Frederick County Water and Sewer, and then now he works for Brunswick, so.
Probably a good idea to give the council, the Utilities Commission an opportunity to interview him.
Yeah, so I was
Yeah, I
gonna
think
say,
that's
invite him
really
to the next
Yeah.
utilities meeting and.
So that's the 15th of February, I believe. And I noticed it's not on the calendar on the website. The utilities.
Okay.
So you want to call him and invite him to the next meeting?
Sure.
Put him on the agenda?
His application, on the application itself.
Yeah, just interview. See, make sure he's still in there.
And then he comes back here for you to.
No, he just, well, yeah. We'll point, pay official.
It's not there, Tim.
Okay, Washington County Soil.
Maybe I just didn't click it on.
Conservation donation request?
They emailed me a request for funding. I gave to everybody. Washington County Soil Conservation has been a great partner to work with, and I think it's a good idea to support them. So if you guys remember, they're the ones working with us on that MS4 project down at the wastewater treatment plant, which, by the way, the tree planting will begin in April and the construction will begin in June. So they are asking for $200.
Beautiful.
Oh, I have the year wrong. That's why it's not on there.
Yeah. Oh,
Year.
okay.
Oh, the utilities meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
How much have we spent so far? Do you know, Kim?
We've spent $800,
800.
or we have 800 left. I'm
Oh, we
sorry.
have 800.
We
I was gonna say, I didn't think you spent that much.
We spent $800. I've been donating.
Jason? I mean, we normally do $100 increments. I mean,
We do that all the time, but we want to break a precedent with that. I mean, I'd certainly like to help them out.
yeah, I mean, I'm willing to help them out, but I don't want to break that precedent that we do.
I'm sure they'd be just as happy.
Okay. Okay. So I'll make a motion that we make the $100 donation to the Washington County Soil Conservation.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second to give the Washington County Soil Conservation District a $100 donation. Do we have any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Same. Motion carries. Request for proposals, auditing firm for fiscal year ending June 30th.
So, as Jason was saying, we've done, I guess, 5 years with them. So, it is time to put that up to bid. The bid that we have currently is for a 1-year term that can be extended 4 additional terms. So I'm just asking,
That's how we did it the last time.
yeah, to place that out for bids.
I can't believe we've been there for 5 years.
I know.
I know.
I'll make a motion that we put the request for proposal for professional audit services out for bid.
I'll second it. Do you have a date that you want to have it closed by?
Yeah.
Yeah, what day do you want?
What do we normally do? 30
So
days?
it's for the term ending, of course, this year, June 2023.
Okay.
So I went back, this is
You're gonna
January.
need it
I
for
went
budget.
back.
We're gonna need it, yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna need it by
budget.
March.
When you say March?
So the end of March or mid-March,
Let's say March 15th.
March 15th. Sounds good.
How's that?
Sounds
We have
good.
a motion, do we have a second?
Yep. Mary Lee.
Oh, she did? Oh, I'm sorry.
Was that? Oh, no, I didn't say anything other than I said, have as long as you have the deadline back so we can look at it at our workshop.
I'll
meeting in
second.
March to approve.
Okay. Terry seconded. So we have a motion and a second, put it out, put an auditing firm out for bid. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Request for proposal for retirement administration for fiscal year ending June 30th, 23.
Okay, and this also, we've been with Abels, Bill Abels for as long as I know.
I can have
Yeah, our current contract with him has been for 5 years, so 3 years and the option to extend it to additional. We just need to put that out for bids again this year. It is kind of like a very specialized pension plan that we have. So they're usually the only ones that bid on it. But we will still advertise and put it out for the public, so.
Should we do the same time frame, March the 15th?
Yeah, I think that's pretty
I think
good.
it's a good time.
Yeah.
It gives them plenty of time.
So I'll make a motion that we put the request for proposal for our retirement administration services out to bid
Mhm.
and have a close of March 15th, 2023.
Second.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, abstained, motion carries. Request for proposal for accounting service. Boy, they all hit us at once, don't they?
Yeah, they do. So the accounting service, we currently, our contract with them is a month-to-month basis. We did not renew for a year period. So that is the one good thing, is that they didn't help us as they should have, so we didn't get billed.
Well,
Well, it was a small build compared to.
Our kids started to learn.
Exactly. Exactly. So until Brian's completely comfortable with everything that he's, doing, which he's learning at an outstanding rate.
Enjoy, he was upset.
Not upset, just nervous.
Don't be.
That's right. That's what I told him. So we would like to ask to place the accounting out for bids again. Again, like Jason was saying, it was just constant errors. Gray, who we had been working with, had a really good relationship with, left in November of 2021. Then Karen, who was the manager, left in January of 2022. Then we were assigned Nicole. She came in and helped Brian. And then our communication with her since May has been really hit or miss. And the last time I emailed her, I ended up doing the entry myself, sending it to her and saying, did I do this right? And she was like, yeah, that looks good to me. I was like, okay, high five. So anyhow, so we're asking to place that out for a 1-year contract with the option to extend 1 additional year.
Yeah, no, I guess my question would be, why wouldn't we want to give ourselves the option to extend another year or two if you do happen to hit someone you like?
Kind of like how we do with the auditing firm. I mean, that would.
If you don't like them, then you just put it out for bid again.
Exactly.
We have that.
So what would we like to do?
I don't know, I was just thinking, at least give yourself at least 1 more year,
So like a 1 year to extend 2 additional?
Yes.
Or 2, that before, that would give you some consistency if we do get somebody you like, And like I said, if you don't like them after year 1, we just put out.
Yeah, you just put out for bid again.
That gives you at least an option to continue.
Okay, so 1 year with the option to extend 2 additional 1-year terms. I like that.
Due March 15th.
Right, I was gonna say,
Yep.
do the same close date.
We're gonna be busy in March.
Yep. Do I have a motion?
So I'll make a motion that we put the request for proposal out for accounting services for 1 year with 2-year options and close on March 15th.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, put out accounting services for request for proposal. Any discussion? Questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carries. Consideration to renew or request for proposal, legal services.
So for legal services, we just did that last year. So we have the option to add an additional year with them, with our contract. And I would think, as well as I'm sure Paul would agree, since we've been working with Ann so much, that, we would continue our contract with them.
Yep, she has.
I mean, if you're happy and pleased.
Yeah, she responds to every request we send her. So.
I like working with them.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to extend her legal services for another year?
I'll make a motion that we extend the professional legal services with our current provider for 1 year.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second.
So what we have right now is it's $250 an hour for, how's it read? A soft cost cap for assignments under 1,000 total billable hours will be $250 per hour. And assignments exceeding 1,000 total billable hours would be $200, excluding litigation, noting the paralegal cost would be $75 and $60 respectively. So that's how their contract reads, so.
Sounds good. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained, motion carried.
Good deal. Thank you.
Town planner, Rita.
I have something, sorry to bring up in business, I guess I forgot to. The safety committee, and I guess I just want to throw it to your attention tonight, so we can put it on the agenda for February. The safety committee didn't really have a budget this year because we weren't really in place when we did the budgeting last year. So, the numbers that the chairman got from Brian was that we've got donations and sponsorships totaling $2,620. And expenses for National Night Out was $1,569. So we've kind of taken in $1,000 more. You know what I mean? But I kind of explained it doesn't really go to public safety committee because it's town money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if we wanted to spend it, we would have to ask permission, especially since we didn't have a budget. So what they want to do is buy one of these Stop the Bleed kits. And then they'd also like to buy a Lifeform CPR training kit so that our current rescue company do not have them, but they do have personnel who would be able to lead the courses. And then that way we could hold like demonstrations and teach people how to like stop traumatic bleeds and how to do CPR. Like they could do it at National Night Out, we might could do it like at Green Fest, you know, the table, you might do it at, different events that the town has. So we wouldn't have money to buy both. With the excess, we would either have to ask for money or we could like buy one with what we have excess now and then put one in our, budget
For this coming year.
for this upcoming year, to buy. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because they asked me if that was something they would be interested in doing. So I guess technically the town would buy the equipment, but we donate it to the rescue company for repeated use to be able to do some training.
Would they come here and do classes for
We
us?
could do it here. Yeah, they could do a class for us. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
I
I
mean,
said, they
for
could do
anybody
it-
in the town,
Yeah, they could
since
do it at
it's
the
the
community
town
service.
fund.
Yes. They've actually done some Stop the Bleed training, out at the rescue company hall. I guess, it just hasn't been well advertised or.
They don't have this stuff out there?
They maybe had a company like come in and do it, or they borrowed it from theirs.
So
They don't have the equipment
They
for
don't-
training.
Yeah, they don't-
This comes from GM.
So this
Yeah.
is training.
Yes, so this is for people to
Gotcha.
be able
I
to,
was
so
gonna say,
they can do a demonstration, but they don't have it to,
Gotcha.
that you could pick them up and like
They can't take
practice
it off.
doing. You could- Now, these wouldn't give you like certification training. It
No,
would just be like,
And this stuff you get to use over and over.
yeah, so it'd be training though, like, and then I think some of them had talked since, the board football player class on, Sunday night football, the need for having CPR started right away is kind of like more prominent in people's minds, but you know what I mean? So it would just be giving people that initial, like, here's how you do CPR, push the dummy, you know what I mean? And then like how you, do a tourniquet to stop like a significant.
So Marilyn, they're asking for Resusci Annie, which is the actual, those are expensive, that's the.
No, it's not anything that fancy. This is just what, Jane. Okay, Adam's.
Adam's a son, yeah.
Yeah, we want to get more word.
Yeah.
This is just what Jay meant, who's our like representative on the safety committee from the community, from the, the ambulance company, the rescue squad.
Chief's not here right now, but,
So like you
the,
could do a demonstration for the police board, you know what I mean, for, in a trauma situation, they had to respond.
the sheriff's department, furnished us with 5. Did we get 7? We got 5, didn't we, or 6? What did I tell you?
Oh, those AEDs.
Yeah, those AEDs. They're really expensive. The sheriff's department gave us enough for one for in each cruiser. Hancock, one for each cruiser, and Smithburg, one for each cruiser too. And Kevin was telling me about a month or so ago, the young man that hung himself, if they would have had that piece of equipment, they probably could have saved him. It's very nice, thanks. So if you see Sheriff Albert thanking, that was very nice of the sheriff's department to go out and purchase them and give them to all their police departments in the municipalities in the county.
Do you want me to maybe like email you guys the Jay get or just again, put it on the agenda for February?
Yeah.
Well, I guess their first question is asking permission, would the safety committee be able to use that $1,250 to buy whichever preference they have on these as being the first
Well,
one
the
to buy?
one's
Do you have a way to adjust that?
This one's $995, this one was $737.
So let's get a,
For 2,000, you'd be able to do one,
No,
to do more than two people at a time.
I would
Or
understand how
2,000
much
to
you
do
want.
together.
They could have enough to buy one or the other. So, but they could add the other one to this coming fiscal budget. So I'm fine if they spend the money that they made.
Okay,
on whatever
okay,
they
but it,
could
like I
make.
said, it would technically come out of like
is that a motion?
contingency or, you know what I mean?
Well,
'Cause it's not in our, but it's not
yeah,
in our
yeah,
line,
Just
you know
talk
what
to
I'm
Brian and he says he'll take care of it.
Yeah. So yes, I'll make a motion that the Public Safety Committee
saying?
can spend their money that they generated from National Night Out. Is that where it came from?
Yes,
Yes.
it came from National.
I got that.
Not the kind of CPR online.
Yeah.
Next year we have more financing, we might have to do that.
And then we'd be able to buy the other.
Poor guy was
put in
nervous
the
wreck.
budget.
Yeah, tell them to put it in the budget.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a motion, a second. You all vote no?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries. All right. Town planners report.
Sorry.
That's
All right.
That's important stuff.
So the planning commission recommended the Ace Hardware site plan come to the mayor and council for approval. There were a few comments. I got the new plan today and everything was addressed, so I'll bring that in February for your approval. I reached out to the post office and as of right now, they are not moving. Dunkin' Donuts is still under contract until the road is built. So,
Now, when you say they're not moving, they haven't backed out.
no, they haven't backed out yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still open.
Good. Do I have any questions of Raleigh? Thank you, ma'am.
What do we need to do?
We're done with it.
Well, for both. I
Yeah,
mean, what,
we need to-
can we do anything to help facilitate either or both of those projects?
Buy the property.
It's up for sale.
Well, you have the post office property in
The
no
post office
surveys
is,
anymore.
right, they've already sold that.
But they still have to put the road in. Isn't that correct?
Our only recourse is to pull the bond. Yeah, and technically, they are in default of their public works agreement, so we have the grounds to pull the bond. But that,
Then that's what's gonna happen.
Committee members.
well, that means that we would be able to draw on from their insurance to complete the work ourselves. But we would then take the project management on ourselves and so on. So
Maybe they need to have a letter sent,
Yeah.
a formal letter saying that that's being debated upon.
I mean, I'm
Maybe
all
that's enough.
I
for,
think that's a good idea.
I mean,
I'm all
because
for us
like,
saying-
we're not gonna get any tax revenues we need
Yeah, well,
without
it's
the
just-
road happening. I mean,
it's a joke.
yeah.
So if we need to do it through the attorney, I say we move forward with some type of a legal action.
Just a letter letting them know.
Formal
I mean,
letter.
so we're just talking like I guess you'd have to have a cul-de-sac at the end of
I think it's designed as that, yeah.
the road to complete, so then Dunkin' Donut and the post office would be able to like start. moving forward.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with the post office. It's behind those lots that face onto the main road. So it's Dunkin' and then there's 3 other lots back there that would access from there.
Are the other 3 lots sold? Just the one that Duncan has and the one that Hayes has?
Yeah, they won't sell the first one. I don't know why or who they're holding out for, but they won't sell that one.
Gentleman stopped Wes the other day. Wes goes out there almost every day and rides around, make sure nobody's sleeping in the post office or trying to get in there or anything with the homeless people and all, just to check it out. And a gentleman stopped him the other day and was asking him a bunch of questions. And come to find out, he's land development for Tractor Supply.
That would be amazing.
And see, they talked to Tractor Supply one other time across the street where State Highway is. So that's probably why they're holding that piece of ground. They think they're gonna get them, but they're not gonna get anybody with their reputation. No, unless they get off the.
We need to send them something right now. That's it. They're done.
So, the public works agreement, I'm thinking about, if we send them a letter of default, they have 90 days to cure the default, right? And then we can hold it on. So in other words, when we send this letter, it's gonna set this chain of events into action. At which point, at the end of that 90 days, we have to pull that bond. Okay, fine, all right. So that, I just wanna make sure everybody understands what we're.
What good is it doing us right now?
No, I get it, but it's more than, it would be more than us just
I understand.
posturing.
I think we should get Ann involved.
Yeah.
Before we go full on.
I'm tired of it.
Anything else, Ann? Or, Ann, I'm sorry, Raleigh. Yeah. That's it?
That's all.
That was enough.
Town manager, town managers.
Town manager. Good position, right? Yeah, let's follow it.
Still one of them weeks that's going Monday.
Oh, I know.
We understand.
So, we finally got a, letter of intent, agreed to and signed with the Board of Education.
Again?
So, and they agreed that they don't need to be compensated for the land, which is good.
I'm sorry.
I know, I'm with you.
So, we also are still working with Scott McElwee, and I drafted a letter of intent, and the attorney reviewed it, and Mr. McElwee is now reviewing it himself before we sign it. As soon as that's signed, we can get with the developer, Mr. Draper, and his engineering firm to begin survey and design. And then, once we have a completed, once we've completed survey and design, then we can draft a memorandum of understanding and sign it with the school board and Mr. McElwee. And then it's just a matter of going to construction. So.
Good, good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so it's finally, it's moving forward. And I just wanted to point out the reason, I guess they were getting a lot of pressure from Senator Porterman and I guess in the county maybe, but, so the Board of Education agreed, but, if you look at the concept plan, the town is gonna own a small portion of Campus Avenue. So, and that's how the agreement came to be. The Board of Education was amenable to it because they are going to offset some of their future maintenance expenses. But
This much.
You're gonna have to snow plow, if you don't tell anybody, the people who snow plow the school. will never know.
Right.
No snow plow.
Okay.
They will plow.
they're going to plow
They
it.
will plow.
Just say kind of like.
Yeah, the way I think this is
Stop
a-
plowing
I think you go in off of Maple Avenue and snow and stop.
Yeah, I agree. Just put it down.
And back out.
So I guess they are going to plow it, as I just mentioned. And we talked about in the MOU stipulating the way maintenance is going to work. Essentially, the school is going to be responsible for the maintenance schedule. They're going to just, let us know before the beginning of every fiscal year that, repaving, restriping, whatever's going to happen so that we can put it into the budget. All that's going to be spelled out in the MOU. So.
Amazing.
So this little area right here is gonna be ours.
Yes. So we will be responsible for
I think we need to make sure we put up signage like they do for McGinn County maintenance and the city maintenance here.
You joke about this, but Frederick County Public Schools, Frederick County DPW got in a huge pissing contest about that. It was a problem.
They're elected officials, they wouldn't be there in 5 years.
They were talking to Tony, something like split 80-20, they would take 80% would be responsible for 20% of the calls. In other words,
Oh, no, we'll be able to do a linear then.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna do exactly.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
that.
we just got back.
what else you got, Paul?
I'm sure everybody's heard about the county commissioners awarding us another grant, so I just hope we can get this project started and out of the way before more cost increases.
I know.
And then the Shade Park, Howard, do you want to do the project update for?
Yes, I received Thursday early afternoon, to my surprise, an email from State Highway telling us, sending me an agreement to look over and sign for the Schaefer Park Drive, Orchard Drive crosswalk project update. And so I sent it, we sent it up to Ann for her to review it, make sure everything was okay, and they didn't sneak anything on us. And she sent it back late Friday saying it was good. I signed it this morning, and we emailed it back to State Highway, so that should be getting started in the spring.
Great.
Wanted to do traffic studies or something. Didn't it talk about that in that agreement?
No, I don't know anything about traffic study, no.
I know.
The study's been done for years,
Yeah.
like 5 years
It's supposed to
ago.
have been spring, yeah. Before COVID.
So it's finally, looks like it's gonna get, looks like everything's gonna happen at one time.
Probably. So it rolls.
I'm just glad that's fine.
I am too. I'm glad that's moving forward. I'm glad the school board's behind us. And by the way, school board president Melissa Williams has already signed it.
I know.
Yes.
All of it. It's on our packet.
Preceded.
Okay. Paul, anything else?
Yeah, we just finished, staff just finished the commercial audit of our water and wastewater accounts. We did this, if you recall, with the help of our consulting engineer, Billy Swales at Triad. We reviewed the results with the BMUC at our last meeting, and all in all, another 38 EDUs were identified. But honestly, it was a lot closer than we thought it was going to be, or at least I thought it was going to be. But we started talking about an implementation plan. And I think what we targeted, at least we discussed targeting, none of this is formal, discussed targeting the new fiscal year for implementation of the new, I shouldn't say new, just the corrected, the revision, the revised EDUs. And the visit with Senator Van Hollen went really well. I think he really appreciated that award and sitting down and having lunch. Of course, we still pitched them like good municipal employees. But one of the interesting things he said was that ARPA funding has been revised to now also include road projects. So, something to keep in mind, honestly, we've got a few road projects that we've had trouble getting funding for, particularly Schaefer Park Drive. And who knows, maybe one day soon, we won't have any roads to nowhere. That would be pretty fantastic. But anyway, something to consider. And then, did you mention you were gonna talk about, I guess that's probably better for February.
As soon
I've
as I,
already said.
as soon as I get a hold of that young man back there.
Yeah, well, we talked about it at the last BMUC is that they're gonna bring us along for the ride with their commercial side, so that we're not just one meeting, just dump it on us and say, here's what we've got, and make a decision. So hopefully, Colin and,
Well, so the commercial, the EDUs were, that I talked about first, what the staff will work on the implementation, the letters, all that kind of stuff. And we'll give that to the council with plenty of time. As we just talked about, we are targeting the new fiscal year. So everybody will have that plenty of time. We're also, as everybody knows, considering the next 5 years. What? No,
No, I'm just saying, I'm getting ready for the anticipation. It's exciting stuff. It's riveting.
Talking about the next 5-year rate increase.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say increase, but just the next 5 years worth of rates and how that's to be implemented. We now have all the information we need to make these kind of decisions. And the Utilities Commission created a subcommittee to work on that.
I think we're getting our marching orders set in here, Carl. I didn't know it was gonna be a 5-year implementation, but that sounds good to me.
I think it's easier to do those types of things in 5-year increments. And I think it's the most transparent way to do it for our ratepayers,
Yeah, well,
something that.
part of my concern all along, well, I'll say this 50 times, when Bob Sweeney was the chair of the utilities, he said, we better have a good story in order for the customers. And I think our story is, all you have to do is look at the numbers, not necessarily in the budget, but I sat there and looked through the income statements and some stuff, and called Barry Lee to make sure I wasn't cracking up. And it's like, that's the story, that's the supporting background. Here's what we're short. And Paul and I have been proponents, shall I say, of also building some reserves. That might not go over as good as, but, we can't just operate on a cost recovery basis. We got to build some reserves, but that might mean some higher rates. But that's what Colin and I are going to be looking at. And frankly, I think we have a decent plan in place, but we'll be ready to present something, maybe not in February's BMUC, but hopefully pretty darn quick.
No, and just so the council knows, this is something that is going to be on the Utility Commission's agenda between now and, the new fiscal year. Right, we're going to be working on this steadily. If you want to come and be a part of discussions, please do. As updates are available, we will, inform the council about what's going on and how we are coming to these decisions. And so I would just encourage people to participate if they'd like. And
What else you got? Anybody else have anything? Anyone, do I have a motion to adjourn? Terry?
She did.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries. So, when the girls went to labor.
Yeah.
Ed,